Welcome. We're diving into one of the most critical and, honestly, one of the most underestimated hurdles in building a private cloud for AI: cooling. And trust me, this isn't just about keeping your servers from catching fire. It's about unlocking the full, mind-blowing performance of your entire AI investment.
Okay, before we get into the thick of it, we've got to cover our mandatory disclaimer. This is Module 3 of a 15-part tutorial on using private cloud for AI initiatives. Now, this overview is based on a comprehensive report by Virtualization Options LLC, and it's really meant to offer general guidance. It is provided without warranty, and it's definitely not legal or financial advice. So, as always, we recommend that you discuss any proposed actions with your own financial, technical, and legal professionals. And please remember, these modules cover just a fraction of the full report, focusing specifically on the material in Chapter 3.
All right, let's just let that sink in for a second. To really get a handle on the scale of this problem, think about that. We aren't talking about the heat from a couple of laptops. We are talking about taking the heat from an entire block of 40 houses in the dead of winter and cramming it all into a box the size of a refrigerator. That is the insane thermal challenge that AI creates.
And that 50 kilowatts, that's really just the starting line. We're seeing systems now that are pushing well over 100 kilowatts. This number represents a fundamental break from everything we've done before. Traditional data centers, they were built for maybe 5, maybe 10 kilowatts per rack. AI demands a completely different way of thinking and a whole new playbook for thermal design.
So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at the sheer size of this AI heat wave. Then, we'll talk about why just blowing air on it isn't going to cut it anymore. After that, we'll dive into the liquid solution, compare the different technologies you've got to choose from, and finally, wrap up with how to design a complete, rock-solid system. So let's start with the core problem, and it's really just simple physics. Every single watt of power that your incredibly expensive AI hardware consumes has to go somewhere. It gets converted into heat, and that heat has to be removed. Power in equals heat out. And AI, well, it consumes an absolutely staggering amount of power.
And I mean, just look at the jump in density here. This isn't some small, gradual increase. We are seeing a 5, 10, even a 20 times increase in the heat being pumped out in the exact same physical space. This incredible leap is exactly why the cooling methods we've relied on for the past 20 years are now basically obsolete.
So all of this intense, concentrated heat, it pushes conventional air cooling, which has been the workhorse of the data center for decades, way past its absolute breaking point. It just wasn't built for this. We're basically hitting a wall here, a wall that's dictated by the laws of physics. Air as a substance is just not very good at absorbing and carrying away huge amounts of heat. So even with smart tricks like containing the hot and cold aisles, your traditional computer room air conditioners, your crack units, they start fighting a losing battle once you get past about 15 to 20 kilowatts in a rack.
And this is what happens when you try to force old technology to do a job it was never meant for. You start spending a fortune on electricity just to power these massive, screaming fans. The noise levels can get so high they actually become an operational hazard for your staff. And at the end of the day, it just stops being a workable solution once you get close to that 30 kilowatt mark.
Which, of course, brings us to the hero of our story, liquid cooling. And the science behind why it's so incredibly effective is actually really simple, but it has a profoundly powerful impact on high-density AI infrastructure. If you remember one number from this entire explainer, please make it this one. Water has about 3,500 times the volumetric heat capacity of air. That means a tiny little bit of water can absorb and move a massive amount of heat, doing the same job that would require a giant volume of air. It's just a fundamentally better tool for the job.
Now, the most efficient way to use this amazing property is with something called direct-to-chip cooling. Instead of trying to chill an entire room and hoping some of that cold air finds its way to the processors, you bring the coolant right to the source of the heat, the GPUs and the CPUs. It's the difference between being a surgeon with a scalpel and just flooding the entire operating room. That precision is what lets it handle insane densities, well over 100 kilowatts per rack.
So now that we get the basic principles, let's open up the toolbox and look at the arsenal of cooling technologies you can actually choose from. Each one has its place, its own set of pros, and, of course, its own challenges. This table gives us a fantastic, at-a-glance look at the trade-offs. You've got air cooling, which is familiar and cheaper up front, but it just hits a wall really fast. Then there are rear-door heat exchangers. Think of them as radiators you bolt onto the back of your server rack. They're a great middle step, getting you up towards 50 kilowatts. Then you have our high-performance champion, direct-to-chip for the densest AI workloads, but it does require more complex plumbing. And finally, you've got the ultimate solution, immersion cooling, where you literally dunk your servers in a special fluid. It gives you the absolute highest density, but it's also the most complex and specialized.
And that, of course, leads to the big strategic question. It's not about just picking the biggest, most powerful technology. The right choice for you depends on your specific needs, your budget, your team's expertise, and, really importantly, your plans for the future.
Because, look, picking the right technology is just step one. To really make this work, you need a comprehensive, end-to-end system design. You need a master plan that guarantees both reliability and efficiency.
And these 4 steps are absolutely crucial. First, you have to get the heat out of the building, and you need to plan for growth. Second, the whole network of pipes and pumps has to be designed to deliver the coolant exactly where it needs to go. Third, a smart system uses sensors and automation to apply cooling only when and where it's needed, which saves a ton of energy. And finally, you have to plan for failure. You need to design it to fail gracefully, so one broken pump doesn't cause a total catastrophe and take down your entire multi-million-dollar operation.
And let's be absolutely clear about what's at stake here. This isn't just about preventing a server from being down for an hour. A cooling system failure can cause a thermal shutdown that completely wipes out an AI training model. That could mean weeks, maybe even months of computational work and potentially millions of dollars in compute costs, just gone, vanished.
So, let's connect all of this technical talk back to the bottom line. Why should a business leader care about pipes and pumps? Because getting your cooling strategy wrong has a direct, painful, and significant impact on your performance and your return on investment.
And here it is, the silent killer of performance. It's called thermal throttling. When a super powerful GPU gets too hot, it doesn't just crash. It's smart enough to slow itself down to generate less heat. So what this means is that bad cooling can be secretly robbing you of 10, 20, even 30% of the performance from the most expensive hardware you own.
This is exactly what that performance theft looks like. With optimal cooling, you get every ounce of power you paid for. But with a poor cooling setup, you could be throwing away almost a third of your investment. It's like you spent millions of dollars on a fleet of Ferraris, but because you didn't bother to build a decent road, they're all stuck driving in first gear. It's just a tragic waste of potential.
So we'll leave you with this final thought. Cooling is not an afterthought. It's not just a line item on a facility's budget. For any serious AI initiative, it is the absolute foundation upon which your performance, your reliability, and ultimately your success are all built. The question you have to ask isn't whether you can afford to invest in a great cooling system, it's whether you can possibly afford not to.